Mayor Pete's restart. He knows he needs a reboot. He admits now to CNN, not on TV.
Yeah.
But he did a
online
That's
interview.
a weird place to choose just print.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of other print outlets, but he obviously had someone there who wasn't going to be nasty to him and would just let him put
I think
his
it's pretty
propaganda
interesting.
out.
I think it's pretty interesting, though, that he would say this. I think he's someone who still has presidential hopes, presidential dreams.
You're gone.
So, what'd you say?
Almost done.
Almost done if he doesn't really course correct.
Yeah, because if he quits, he can't course correct.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't, and what's he really going to be able to do about infrastructure in 2 years?
Yeah, very little.
So, but he has admitted.
I don't think I've known a road to ever get done in 2 years. Like, not talking about like a highway. I'm talking about like an intersection. There's like, they can't hang a traffic light, it feels like, in 2 years.
Yes, so he has admitted that it was wrong not to go to East Palestine earlier, but then he starts blaming other people, says it's really not part of his job. First of all, he's the head of DOT.
Yeah, exactly.
That's people,
literally your job.
That's why people said to go, and they were focusing on him. He oversees all of those different branches. So he finally admits to that. He acknowledged that mistake, and he should have gone there earlier. He said he failed to anticipate. But see, this is what I want to point out first, Harry. The political fallout from the toxic trade. This is how they're thinking. See, this is what makes Mayor Pete really unqualified to be DOT. It's not even just age or incompetence. That's probably some of it. But small town mayors shouldn't be the head of America's infrastructure and travel and transportation. But secondly it's the only reason he regrets it is because of the political fallout. Not the fallout, the actual fallout that the people are experiencing in East Palestine.
Mayor Pete continues to demonstrate his incompetence with respect to the tragic train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. After 2 years on the job, Transportation Secretary Buttigieg, better known as Mayor Pete, finally realizes that he needs to do his job and stop squealing. For the last 2 years, he's been living in a world of alternative reality. And he's been focused on elitist concerns such as green energy and climate change, while working class people in America are struggling. So he's still whining, but at least he acknowledges that he was wrong with respect to the Ohio derailment response. But he then launches into an attack on his political opponents and again ignores the real concerns of the people in Ohio. One of the things that I find really peculiar with respect to Mayor Pete is that he has focused so much of his time on being woke with respect to climate change and ethnicity, and other than his ability to complain about the skin color of construction workers, I think he has few qualifications, and he's demonstrated even less competence.
Yeah, he said this about Fox News host Logan. Of course, he wouldn't say this on the air anywhere.
Yeah, we have to read it.
So somebody wrote this. He probably didn't write this. It's really rich to see some of these folks, the former president, these Fox hosts, who are literally lifelong card-carrying members of the East Coast elite, whose top economic policy priority has always been tax cuts for the wealthy, and who wouldn't know their way around a TJ Maxx if their life depended on it, to be presenting themselves as if they genuinely care about the forgotten middle of the country. And then he goes on to say, you think Tucker Carlson knows the difference between TJ Maxx and Kohl's? Yes, because he does care about the country. And yeah, these guys have become successful, but they all started out hard-working jobs. Sean Hannity was a local radio show host for a long time in his career, in Alabama, Georgia, then got back home to New York, where he's from. But again, they do know. They're definitely not card-carrying members of the East Coast elite when they're Fox News hosts. They're banned from those kind of events. And
exactly.
That part of society, which is why they end up a lot of times still get harassed. Even Tucker Carlson, he's in Montana fishing with his kids.
Yeah, he's at a bait shop and getting harassed on video. We've all seen that. Yeah. I'm sure that's what happens to a lot of East Coast elites.
Yeah, right. When they go out to Montana. No. So the whole idea is Mayor Pete wishes he was an East Coast elite, but you can't be technically one when you're born in Indiana, I guess, and your whole stick is being small town mayor. But the fact is, he, again, is trying to make it all about politics.
Yeah.
And we talk about the forgotten man. He doesn't even care about the people.
Right.
He never says, I should have done better for the people of East Palestine. He says, I should have done better, Harry, because it's hurt Democrats politically.
Absolutely. And he demonstrates his commitment to being the epitome of an elite individual. Keep in mind, Mayor Pete graduated from Harvard. He was a consultant for McKinsey, and he cares about elite values.
Those consultants at McKinsey who went to Harvard, usually, I mean, it doesn't really matter where
Again, not that there's really anything wrong with it if you still care about the people.
No, just don't bash.
Right.
Don't try to make the people who aren't actually that, and then when you actually are that, and your Mayor Pete thing is just kind of a phony stepping stone to a position you certainly weren't qualified to take. I mean, the thing is, Donald Trump showed up. They bashed that. Mayor Pete bashed that.
Yeah,
he just showed up with what people said they needed from the government: clean, bottled water.
Right. He showed up with pallets full.
So they could bathe their kids and have something to drink.
Yeah, exactly. And this is why there's always been a disconnect with Donald Trump. Sure, Donald Trump comes from the world of sure, we can say he is certainly coming from New York and all this, but has always had a different sense of reality than a lot of people.
He actually
relates more.
He relates more to a construction worker.
That's what I'm saying.
That's his life.
That's his world.
Building,
yeah,
which is a different than just being some consultant to some firm that you don't actually make.
This was the guy they made fun of for having McDonald's in the White House.
Right.
He wasn't doing that just for the heck of it. You know?
No, he loves his McDonald's.
Yeah. Or double scoop of ice cream.
And who among us doesn't like their McDonald's?
Yeah, too much. Clearly, you can tell.